Season 3 of The Pass is here. I know it's long overdue. We have a new intro. We still got the same content. Well, actually, it's a little bit of new content because there's new things going on in 2019. So buckle up. We got a lot of things to talk about on The Pass. .239 of The Pass is back. I'm your host, BT. What is going on? What's good, everyone? Hope everyone's doing well today. Feel like I have not recorded in an eternity. We did have quite a bit of news that has occurred, and I want to make sure that I leave no story on the table because a lot of information needs to be addressed. Before I go too far into any fluff and bluff, if you are looking to support the podcast or you want to find a way to give back, if you're not able to listen to all the shows, I 100% get it. But my easiest way of doing so or supporting me is if you can leave a review on iTunes. That will really make me know and realize that there are people who are taking time to listen to the show. If you want to find the easiest way to get to leaving a review, if you go to passpodcast.com, at the bottom you should see a big button. If you hit that button, you can leave us a review by stars, but also if you leave a written review, that really gives me feedback on how to make this a better show, not just as a recorder, but also for those who are listening. I am looking to implement some new things in the mix. I just need to work on my end to get those things accomplished. I guess that's the nicest way to put it. So we're not going to really get into too much huff and fluff, as I said already. The first story was a big story, and I'm still, I guess, in shock and awe that it happened. But I also realized that it's a business. But this was it's a business, but this was a personal decision that was made. Before I do that, because I do, props to the outline. First things first, because we are officially at the end of the NBA season, which means a lot of things have transpired. So I'm going to freestyle a little bit, but I'm going to get back to everything that I have to address because I don't want to leave anything unmarked. First off, we did see two of our great players off into the sunset, as you can call it. Dirk Nowitzki and Dwayne Wade both retired, officially confirmed their retirement from the NBA. Dwayne Wade, his last game was in Brooklyn. He did indeed put up a triple-double. It was an interesting scenario because a lot of talk was about who was there at the game, which I'm going to get into that in a moment. LeBron, well, I'll give it now, but I'll give kind of an add-on to it in a few. But LeBron was there. Carmelo Anthony was there. Chris Paul was there, as well as Gabrielle Union. It was an interesting point of the game where the ball rolled out of bounds. It rolled towards where these individuals were seated. And oddly enough, Carmelo was looking to possibly take a shot. He got the ball, took a dribble, looked like he was going into his normal routine of the pull-up dribble. As one of the top YouTubers calls it, the Hezzo Mello. He was about to take the shot, and he just kind of gave the ball away. It was an interesting scenario because it made me think if he had took that shot, would he have made it? But, that's the internet. Luckily, he was making it clear, like, if I take this shot, I can be a meme. And it happened. So I thought it was cool. Like I said, LeBron was there, and which kind of transpired in making you think about with the Lakers as far as their exiting process. Again, I'll get to that in a moment. Dirk had his send-off. His last game was in San Antonio. The Spurs did a tribute video for him, which I thought was pretty dope. Wade had already been doing his one last tour or one last stop for each place that he was playing in, and was doing the jersey handoffs, trade swapping jerseys with other players. It almost was a trend, and this is something that I think a lot of people don't realize. I love what Dwayne Wade is doing. Don't get me wrong. I will admit this was something that we saw in soccer. Soccer, this is a well-known trend. You see it time and time again where a player goes, they play against a team, and at the end of the game, they swap jerseys. So it's a routine tradition. Football has done it a bit. Basketball, for Wade, this was kind of his send-off for the year. Budweiser even did like a special set talking about or presenting his farewell tour, as well as, other guys and his mom who were impacted by Wade as a person. And they were able to put those in spots for each of those. They showed all the other uniforms. It was an interesting scenario because they showed, who teams, who he did his swaps with. I think he ended up doing a swap with the coach against the Knicks, because that one stood out to me, because I think one of the players wanted the jersey and he was like, "No, I got somebody in mind already." And I'm not sure if it was with Chris Bosh. I couldn't remember because they showed it was a lot of different jersey swaps they had. But he had his send off. His last game was his home game in Miami was big. Dirk's final game in Dallas was big because he had officially made the announcement that he was retiring, and then he had the final game in San Antonio. So props to him for that. Both of them for that achievement. It was a lot of bitterness because, of course, we were getting the whole Paul Pierce and Dwayne Wade talk, and I guess the nicest way to put it is Pierce doesn't feel like Wade is one of the best guards in the NBA. And it almost turned into like a statistical breakdown, which I don't understand how or why, when they were they were from the same era of basketball, but they played in two different styles of basketball if you look at it. Because Pierce was coming in on the late 90s of basketball, whereas you had Wade coming into the new, like the 2000s. And I was talking with someone, I was having a conversation about this at an alumni event today. Shout out to the Boys and Girls Club for that. But they, we're talking about how the game has stretched, where you have a guy who's a center. You're looking at him and thinking, okay, he's going to get on the block and, post up. But you've seen Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, other players who spread the floor. And that's no exception. Like, Dirk is a great shooter, but I still think Wade would stand, well if he was coming into the NBA now, he would still hold his own with no problem. That's, of course, my personal perspective, but, take it for what it is. Since we are at the end of the season, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to break down who I have selected as my NBA season awards. And I want to make sure that I put these in order based on what may surprise a lot of people, because even for me personally, it's a tough decision, but it's reality of just what it is. First and foremost, for the season awards, Coach of the Year, I have Michael Malone with Denver. I think Denver had a huge turnaround year. There were other, I got these from a list and they showed other contestants in it, but I kind of picked who I feel should win these awards. Obviously, they're not going to give out these awards until the end of the playoffs, but still, it's good to talk about now since we're at that point. Rookie of the Year, Luka Doncic. Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go with Rudy Gobert. Most Improved, I'm going to be transparent on this one. I'm going to say D'Angelo Russell. And the reason why for him is Brooklyn, he was able to get a rebrand this year, especially with them not only getting to the playoffs, but him making the All-Star team. Because, it was almost looked at as no one expected him to be an all-star. Now he can say he made an all-star appearance. So that, props to him for that. Sixth man, no exception, Lou Williams. I think he was kind of in a competition with Montrezl Harrell, one of his teammates. He's always coincidentally in these competitions, because I want to say it was last year, it was him and Eric Gordon who were fighting for the sixth man award. I think Gordon won it. And MVP, I'm going to shock a lot of people. I'm taking off my Harden biased hat for this one. And I'm going to say Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to win that for the NBA. Now we're going to hit some stories. And the first story, everyone kind of saw this coming, but it also is still a shocking transpiring or a shocking story a little bit. And that is that Magic has stepped down as the Lakers president of operations. He did kind of he saw changes coming, and I think because he saw those changes, it was in his personal best interest to step down. This is one of those times where I have articles, but I'm going to kind of let articles sit back on this one a little bit, and I'll explain a little bit more on that, because content is beneficial to just kind of give my personal take, because a lot of times reading the article is helpful, don't get me wrong, but it just is better to just kind of talk about what is. And what is with this story with the Magic, with Magic Johnson, is that Magic didn't have a chance to be his own personal brand in LA. When he was playing, when he was just Magic, everyday Magic, no problem. He could talk about things. He could talk to people about things. There wasn't as much thought put behind what he was doing. Now that he was the president, anything he said, anything he did, it was automatically going to be viewed or processed as possible tampering. He was on a talk show a few years back when Paul George was looking to, join the team, and he made a statement on the show which led to the Lakers being fined. They dealt with it and it was all well and good at the time, but in hindsight, he didn't really feel that it was tampering, but it's like he couldn't be as supportive with things as he would have liked to. And we saw that throughout the seasons of him being with the Lakers. Bluntly speaking, and this is another story that's going to come up, he didn't want to be put in a position to fire Luke Walton. The Lakers didn't have a good season this year. Bottom line. And it turned out to be almost domino effect. Magic resigned. Magic stepped down, whatever you want to term it. The Lakers fired Luke Walton because Luke was looking at resigning. And I think, however it was done, either way, it would have just looked bad because it was kind of almost like you saw it coming. The year one of the LeBron experiment wasn't good. It wasn't because of the young guys. I am here to say this on air because it's the truth. I don't feel as though LeBron is learning how to play his game. Like, LeBron is going to possibly have to go to bully ball next season. He's not younger. He's not getting any younger. He's got to play smarter to his body and to his mentality of basketball. So, like I said, Walton was released. A couple other coaches that were let go. Dave Yorger, who's with the Kings. It was 3 seasons. This year was one of his better seasons. But even still, based on how they played, they still could have made a playoff run or possibly got close to the playoffs. But they're just kind of letting it ride out and see what happened. They tried to give it a chance, but they went ahead and let him go. Memphis, we saw this one coming after once Marc Gasol was released and Mike Conley was possibly going to get traded. I feel like they're going to let Mike Conley walk next year, unless Mike Conley's looking to get a max contract and stay. But Mike Conley, that factor, and also Marc Gasol with Memphis, that led to JB Bickerstaff being fired. Again, no surprise there. Also, the Cavaliers confirmed that they were letting Larry Drew leave. It was only 1 season there. I believe he was the interim coach last year. I'm trying to, because the whole transaction or transpiring of events at that time were kind of weird, because it was like the Cavs had lost to the Warriors already. They were about to play them. The Warriors had won that first series against the Cavs. You know, the revamped Warriors with Kevin Durant and everything. And they really were kind of impatient in giving Tyronn Lue a true chance. He leaves. Then Larry Drew comes in. They're trying to make it work. Didn't work out. Obviously, LeBron goes off to LA. And it just was a downward hill from there. So yeah, like I said, he left. He was let go, relieved of his duties. I've already mentioned that Luke Walton was departed from his position. I'm still gonna stick to saying this, and this is just my hot take. I think it's kind of almost like the loyalty of the city and the sport, because Luke Walton's father is an LA guy, so you didn't want to have that whole disparity come into play as well. But hey, it happens. It's nothing to really put as much thought into, but here we are. Then this story broke a few days ago that LeBron was shocked that he was being relieved, that Magic did leave. I'm not gonna really say too much on that, because someone, one of the sports analysts did bring that up on their show, and I got a whole different look from how they saw it, because they're seeing it as, he wasn't loyal to the right family, because he, supported his family as far as Wade and Melo and all them, but he wasn't supportive of his brotherhood as far as with the Lakers. And I mean, I think if anything, LeBron had attempted to bring camaraderie to the Lakers in his first year there. Because it's almost like, here's how I look at it with the Lakers. And this is my personal opinion. Obviously, all of this is my personal opinion. But in this case, it's really no exception. LeBron is almost being a multi-year league veteran, but playing in a rookie-based environment. Because the team that he's on, he's kind of playing with a lot of younger guys. I mean, you have some leadership, veteran leadership in JaVale McGee, who is one. Rajon Rondo. I don't know, why am I not able to get his name? Rondo was there. You had Lance Stevenson. You had these other guys who, Kentavious Caldwell was there. Like, all of these guys were on that team, and they were visible, but they were hidden. And it's important to look at that when thinking about how this team was forming or had formed. It still kind of looms over the Lakers' head. Everyone was wondering how the Anthony Davis situation was going to go. I also think Magic was not ready to really get a deal in place to get AD to LA. I think for him, he would rather enjoy it as a fan of the Lakers or a fan of basketball if AD decided he wanted to come there. They did confirm. Okay, so I'm getting the story now. And it's coincidental. That's why I guess I'm talking about these stories now. And by the way, I'm not watching them because I'm going to get into those in a moment. The NBA playoffs have officially started, are starting now. I believe the Sixers and this is a good one. Sixers and Nets are playing now, so that I'm going to get into those matchups in a bit. But a story just actually showed up on my feed that the Kings are looking to possibly make Luke Walton an offer. So it might not have worked out all that bad. I mean, that could be the young team meeting the young coach that Luke Walton may need to have a successful career. Now, the challenging part, and it's not to ignore the elephant in the room, it's still the Sacramento Kings. And you can't change that. You can't smother it. You can't make it pretty, put a bow on it. None of that. It's not going to make a difference. It's still the Sacramento Kings. I talked about this a little bit. With each team, when the season ends, they normally do what's called an exit interview. And for the Lakers, LeBron, Luke Walton, Jeannie Buss, and Rob Pelinka all passed on doing the exit interview. That showed you, or that gives an idea of the type of chemistry or lack thereof that existed in the Lakers organization this year. And I've heard this said a lot. I'm going to say it on here. It needs to be pointed out because it's the truth. This was not a holy matrimony meeting of the minds type of scenario when LeBron came to LA. Even with him coming in year one, rebuilding was gonna have to happen, and it is happening. They didn't do any off-season. Obviously they're not gonna do any now, but they didn't do any trades or any, pick up anybody during the season to kind of help them that would really get them over the hump. So there was that factor as well. But yeah, you had all of these individuals who did not do their exit interview. And at the time the article was written, it did say, while Luke Walton is still working in the capacity of head coach, he won't be speaking to the media as customary for a team's head coach. The same goes for LeBron, Jeannie Buss, and Rob Pelinka, as none of them are scheduled to speak. And they just kind of made that the main basis of what they were going to talk about. It looked odd, but it's still, I feel like it still could have been done where LeBron could have did an exit interview without physically being at the game. And that part of it, I think, is where I'm a little shocked, but not shocked. I feel like at some point, either during the playoffs or probably after the season is over, I feel like LeBron is going to come out and do an interview. Because let's face it, season one was hot garbage for LA. Everything fell apart. Lonzo, I didn't even add this article. There was a chance that he could have been fined for being out due to injury, because the injury that he was out for was based on it being from the guy who worked with him, who was part of Big Baller Brand that they've now severed ties with. I'm wondering too about him not being with Big Baller Brand. Like, they did a video online and it showed him wearing the shoes. So I'm like, is he still part of the brand? Like, all of that's not really been put into light, and it's just kind of been played along of just, let's keep up with it and see how it goes. But those are kind of the full gist of everything coaching wise. Now, before we get to the playoffs, I'm gonna make it clear a little bit now. There are more, because we haven't done a show in a while. Matter of fact, I won't do that. I'm going to wait till we get to NCAA, because I can talk about it there. So I will hold off on that topic that I was about to share and instead talk about our playoff seedings. So we have, on the West, we have Warriors against the Clippers, Rockets playing against the Jazz, Blazers against Thunder, Nuggets against Spurs. In the East, Bucks against Pistons, Celtics against Pacers, 76ers against Nets, and the Raptors against the Magic. Magic might get one game. I can see the Nets possibly getting one. I don't see them getting two. They might get swept. I don't know. Celtics and Pacers should be a good series, especially with it being a 4 and a 5. The Pacers are definitely not a team to be taken lightly. It's tough because they're playing in the post-Oladipo, and I'm not saying post-Oladipo era, but as far as Oladipo being out for the season, Bucks and Pistons, I feel like this is going to be a sweep. Nuggets and Spurs, I'm looking forward to, because this is going to be the first time we're seeing the Spurs in a reset stage. You don't have Manu Ginobili, you don't have Tony Parker, nor do you have Tim Duncan or Kawhi Leonard. And it was a stat that came up which really blew my mind, because it was the first time in, I think they said 17 years, that that Tony Parker would not be playing in a playoff series. And that kind of took me back, like, wow, this is actually, because I don't think he wasn't there last season, but this season with him being with the Hornets, the Hornets didn't make the playoffs, so it was just it was the first time. Blazers and Thunder should be a good series. Of course, we always like to see Damian Lillard and Russell Westbrook go at it. Someone talked about this today too, and I was shocked because it's actually pretty valid. Russell Westbrook doesn't have an off switch. Like, it is just go. And it is literally, it's go from the tip off. Like, he hardly sounds like he's not ready. As in, when he gets on the court and the ball is jump ball, he's going after every rebound, every possession, every play. I will say that might be my surprise series between the two. I mean, out of the four of the West. Only because the Thunder could surprise the Blazers, and the Blazers have not always done very well in the playoffs. Still trying to figure out why, but that's all another story. Rockets and Jazz, that's a rematch from last year. I don't see much of a difference this year, even with them being a 4 and 5 seed. Donovan Mitchell's a great player. This will be his second year, so he has a little bit more experience under his belt to play. Even with James Harden not winning MVP this year, and the lineup that they have, you have Clint Capella in full health. Chris Paul should be playing pretty strong basketball. I can see the Rockets winning. Of course, Warriors and Clippers are your 1 and 8 seeds. This is the team that we're waiting to see. We're going to see, with all of the tension and turmoil, with everything that's gone on with the Warriors, how are they going to look in the playoffs? Because playoff basketball, a lot of that dumb stuff goes out of the window. And that's no exception with this team. So yeah, that's in 26 minutes. It's pretty good to talk about everything NBA. Oh, and there is, I think I mentioned this, there's a chance that Tyronn Lue may be on the candidacy list for the Lakers job. So of course we'll, as I always like to say, I'll believe it when I see it. I would not be surprised if they get the Luke Walton deal done today. Yeah, they're putting it. I'm just gonna see if I can get the story, because they're not gonna, because it's like a story that kind of broke, but it's not really fully quote unquote broken. The Sacramento Kings are reportedly expected to land Luke Walton as their next head coach. According to Sam Amick of The Athletic, Kings general manager Vlade Divac will meet in person with Walton on Saturday, and it will be stunning if the two sides don't reach a deal. Woj added that Walton has reportedly been offered the job by the Kings, and there's confidence on both sides that a deal can be reached. And obviously the article will be updated according to that. So yeah, that's kind of a back A to Z story of that. In college, or in the college world, we're going to go men's first, because this is a big story for Virginia as a state. We are all UVA fans, as I called it. But UVA was able to beat Auburn in a very controversial game in the Final Four, which then led them to meeting Texas Tech, who had beaten Michigan State. Culver is a pretty good basketball player. I will say that with the cleanest and the most honest of statements from seeing him play. DeAndre Hunter can ball his butt off for UVA. He played a very solid game in this matchup. I'm gonna do this in 3 parts. First, we're going to talk about the call, or the missed call. there is rarely going to be a point that you will see a perfect basketball game called. Let me repeat that again. It is very rarely that you are going to see a perfect basketball game called. The initial play of Ty Jerome picking up the ball, the travel, that call being missed, and the foul being given or things, everything of that sort. Okay, bad call, blown call, whatever you want to put it as. Cool. The following play, in that transaction, because I want to say it was the next play. You have a 3-point specialist in Kyle Guy going up for a 3, and the defender is under him in the process of shooting. Now, as a jump shooter, I already know how this works. If you under me, you gotta let me land. If I don't land, I'm calling foul, or I'm going not make it clear, like, look, I got hit, man. You got something. He got hit. He hit 3 clutch free throws to go to the championship game. Texas Tech, Michigan State, it was Texas. I mean, Texas Tech kind of had that game from start to finish. Michigan State had the experience, but they didn't play with the experience in mind when they got to that Final Four game. So you have Texas Tech, you have Virginia. Both teams never won a national championship. Virginia, when you looked at the first 10 minutes of the game, everybody played tense. Everybody played on pins and needles. There was not even the concern of trying to go for the home run play. It was more, I'm trying to do everything in my power to make the smart play. And the shot clock would consistently run down throughout the game, which is understandable. I expected that, and I was okay with it. Between the latter part of the first half and as well as the second half, it turned into a scoring battle where Texas Tech will make a key play, then UVA will make a key play. Near the end of the game, UVA was starting to pull away, and Texas Tech was starting to make errors on just simple basketball. What never changes with basketball, and I'm as a basketball player, and I've realized today I'm trash at it now. I can go out there and try to shoot around, and that's about it. The constant in basketball that people have to always keep in mind is that one thing you can never remove or discard from the game is the fundamentals. If the fundamentals go, that's it. And the fundamentals is what kept UVA in control of the game. And that's how they won the championship. So this was indeed their first championship. Big shout outs to them as a team. They did the damn thing. Plain and simple. On the women's side, we actually were able to get they were able to return back in winning, and Baylor was able to beat or knock off Notre Dame. The suit was blue, and that wasn't by accident. Baylor coach Kim Mulkey doesn't pick out her clothes for most games, and definitely not the big ones. Her longtime staff member, Jennifer Roberts, does. And after all this time, Roberts knows exactly what her boss should wear to dress for success. Roberts picked a shade of blue with historic overtones for Mulkey's 2019 championship outfit. It reflected back to Mulkey's roots as a player at Louisiana Tech and what she wore for her first 3 championships at Baylor. Such things do matter to Mulkey, whose program joins UConn and Tennessee as women's teams to win at least 3 championships in the NCAA era. History matters to her because she has been part of so much of it, and because she and Baylor continue to make it. After a thrilling game in which Baylor seemed to have things in control, seemed to be falling apart after a third quarter injury to junior Lauren Cox, and then got things back together to win it all, 82-81. Mulkey reflected on the journey and specifically what the Lady Bears had to do Sunday to beat Notre Dame, the defending national champion. And so to backtrack what I said earlier, because I'm special. Notre Dame won last year, and Baylor won. Notre Dame and Baylor played last year. Notre Dame won last year, so Baylor winning it this year was huge. Just a great game for women's basketball. The worst part of the game was Lauren Cox getting hurt. We controlled that game from the start till the time she went off the floor. And in a nutshell, I mean, this article, like I always say, tell y'all, it speaks for itself. They just came to play. Baylor was the better team that night, so Baylor was able to beat them in their matchup. I always like to do my little buffer between sports and then segueing into stuff. Before I do that, because I did promise I was going to do it and I forgot to mention it during the men's. So since we're still in college sports, more kids have declared to go to the draft. Cam Reddish has confirmed he's going. Trey Jones will be staying. RJ Barrett has gone with an agent. Keldon Johnson with Kentucky is going with an agent. Tyler Hero is looking to go with an agent. Just recently, Kevin Porter confirmed that he's going to be going with an agent. We already knew Bobo was going. Gardner was already in that list from Vanderbilt. Trying to think who else I have on the list that was big. We already knew about John Morant. We haven't heard anything from anyone from UVA as of yet. We're still waiting on Zion to officially confirm that he's going pro, which we already know. And that's about every Dante. I think it's Dante Dotson. There are 2 guards from Kansas. Both have declared. One of them I don't think is on anyone's list yet, but they have to also revise the list based on guys who have declared for the draft. So that's kind of the overall scenario. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to move forward. Development is key. And I'm saying that now because there are a lot of guys who are going to go to the league that have not developed and are going to get that wash or wave of reality when they first get into the NBA. Because, I always forget his name. His last name is Jones. He played for Kentucky. He's in the NBA. He was with Boston. And ever since he's gotten to the NBA, it's literally been like a struggle for him to kind of make his mark in basketball. I'm going to find his name because I'm just... Oh, shoot, not kidding. I went in Kentucky. I'm so special. Give me a brief moment. Not gonna do this one. Is it Terry Jones? See, it's Terry Jones, and then there's another Jones who was with them, but I don't think it's him. Because there's so many guys that come out in the NBA that should stay, and they go because matter of fact, I'll give an even better example. Marquise Teague, he was actually on the draft. I mean, he was on the team that went to that won the championship for Kentucky. Marquise Teague went because his brother went to the NBA, and it was not the same. It was 2 totally different lineups, 2 completely different teams. But because it was, hey, this is an opportunity, I'm gonna go ahead and go. And sometimes it's a harsh reality, but if it's not your time, it's not your time. Let's see. I'm gonna find out who this kid was. James Young. James Young is the example of why sometimes going to the NBA right away may not be the best idea. And here's why I'm saying this or bringing this to attention. currently, he is. Looks like he's still in the G League. Oh, I'm sorry. Take that back. He's a free agent. His previous time he had been playing, he was with the Wisconsin Herd. He played for the Celtics for 3 years. In between, he was playing for G League teams. He was with the 76ers last year. And right now, to say it without saying, he's trying to find his way back into the NBA. He was waived by the team back on January the 18th of this year. But I'm giving all that information only because a lot of guys go to the NBA with the intent of, I'm looking to get drafted. And it might not be your time, or you probably may not get time. The first person that I can think of right offhand is Cam Reddish. I'm probably the bad guy for saying this. I feel like Cam Reddish is going to go to the G League in a couple years. It's my opinion. But that's kind of all I was going to say just on those recruits and those guys who are looking to go to the NBA. There is a chance, and I'm going to say this and then I'm going to go into our next topic. There is a chance that the one and done rule may be no more, and that kids may have the option in 2022 to leave high school and go straight to the NBA. What makes this an interesting story is, if I am thinking of this correctly, LeBron James' son will be coming out of school in 2022, which draws a very interesting conversation because he's at Cross. So he's at Crossroads. If he went in 2018, then he would be out in 2022. Yep. We'll look forward to that one, because if that all happens at that point, then we can't say nothing. We already know what time it is. Just saying. So the WNBA has decided that they're going to rebrand, and I'm doing this as a sports / stuff conversation. This was a rebrand that we should have seen coming. And the only reason I say that we should have seen it coming is because the WNBA has had the same logo for quite some time. And as with any business, it's time for a facelift. They did go simple. I noticed when I shared this with the group that I'm a part of, there was a lot of feedback on it because these are all designers. And so everyone's look towards it was very, I'm shocked they're going in a different color scheme from the NBA. They're trying to find their way to stand out. But if you look at the last couple of years, when they redid the WNBA logo to the orange and went away from the red, white, and blue look, I kind of saw this coming. Someone was stating that it possibly could look like Candace Parker. I don't know. I just kind of looked at it and said, okay, I'm not really sure. Because there's nothing in here that says who the silhouette is supposed to be. It's just a silhouette. I don't think we talked about it too much, but the WNBA draft did happen. They did go over all of the players who were picked up in the draft and how that all came to light. So if you want to get that information, that is available online as well. Trying to think if only other sports topic that I am going to give attention to, and I'm giving this as a shout out, so I'm going to make this quick and brief, but I do want to give attention while I'm able to my friend and brethren, Mark, and my partner, I may as well call him partner in crime, or networking comrade, Patrick, who works with the Richmond Kickers. It was an honor to keep stats for my first ever soccer game. And when I say first ever, I mean being at a soccer game, watching it, versus being at a soccer game and keeping stats, totally different. But I enjoyed it. It was actually pretty cool and it was pretty different. I will say I learned a lot from doing that, number one. And number two, it's interesting when you're in the behind the scenes position of doing something like that and seeing it as to how different jobs benefit the big picture. For instance, the people who take pictures, like I was able to network with one of the photographers. Like I've, added them on social media, and it was a coincidence because the event for our community center that opened up for the Boys and Girls Club, she was there to take pictures for this Richmond futsal team, which I didn't even know we had in Richmond. But all that being said, like everyone who was there, like they all do different jobs. And I mean, even the guy, Patrick, in his role of what he has to do social media wise and business wise, like I was looking at his laptop and I'm seeing him already having to get the images prepared for the game as the game is going on. Like if a score happens, anything of that sort. So that is huge. And it is one of those things of we don't look at what happens. We just look at, we're seeing the game. We don't look at what's going on behind the scenes. So to be able to see it from a behind the scenes perspective made me understand it a lot more. I'll put it like that. So yeah, I appreciate both of them for inviting me, and I'm really looking forward to networking through that avenue, because I have been really trying to figure out my personal passion or networking path, and I've gone different directions, and it's still in the works, but I've come up with some ideas, and I've realized because it's 2019, I'm gonna have to be a little flexible and a little creative, which is okay, and it never hurts, and it's causing me to do this, which I value it a lot more. I'll say it like that. We're now gonna get into our stuff, and stuff this week is a little, I won't even say random. It's kind of what it is. I don't know. Like there were things that happened, but there wasn't a lot that I really caught that I want to put too heavy of time into. First and foremost, because I don't have it as an actual, these two things aren't tabs, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. The 2K League has started. They did do the tip-off. Of course, there was some new blood. Some bad blood has already been drawn between some, actually it wasn't all that big a deal, but the NBA 2K League is definitely going in the right direction with what they're doing. They got a sponsorship with Champion. That for me alone said a lot. That's showing you how far gaming has come. Because if we all think about it, those who know Champion from 20 years ago, Champion was the worst brand you could wear. Even I saw someone today wearing a Champion hat and Champion shirt like it was the wave. And I'm like, Champion was not a thing before. If you were a Champion, you were automatically assumed as cheap. But now Champion is like its own market line, high-end business or whatever. So I'm loving that. I'm feeling that big time. And they did start week 1 of matches on Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, and yesterday, there were games on Twitch. So if you're looking to watch or keep up with any of the games online, couple of ways you can do it. You can actually go to 2K, download the 2K League app, and you get notifications all the time. If you follow them on Twitch, you can go right to their 2K League page and watch the videos there. They also have it available to be live streamed on YouTube. So you have those options. I'm not going to say a lot on it, but, again, to his family, rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. Condolences to his family. They did do the service, or have that service prepared on Thursday. It's a great service from what I was able to convey. I didn't watch a lot of it because I was at work, but it was, from what I understood, it would have been the way he would have wanted it, which, as everyone always hears that, but this case, it was definitely evident. I also did not mention, before I forget, they are coming soon. I believe they're going to be out May. A lot of people are doing reviews on these products. The Power Beats Pro are coming out. And I will be the first to admit, I like the design, especially with it coming in with the Beats concept, because it's almost as if Beats and AirPods are kind of trying to give each other that little push to do better. I did hear, and from my understanding, if you already own, and I think I talked about this on the podcast, if you already own AirPods, there's no point in buying the AirPods 2 unless you really need that Siri feature, or if you are spending the extra money to get the wireless charging case, which I personally would not see as a big benefit unless you're really using your AirPods a lot. Like, I use mine a lot, and I still charge mine every 3 or 4 days. I think if there was something that I charge more consistently, less consistently, because you get a lot of usage, but it's not as extreme, it would probably be my Powerbeats, but that's my opinion. But yeah, Powerbeats 3, they basically took the original Powerbeats, cut the cord, and now they're wireless, and it's giving them, they have the same W1 chip and all of that coming out of the box. So that's Powerbeats 2K League. And our stories this week, Sony is giving their PlayStation users the option to finally change their online ID. Xbox has had this feature for years. It's not really a big push or pull. It's kind of a preference thing. But if you do this, there is a little bit of a risk to doing it. If you do, so they mentioned if you change your ID the first time, it's free. Any times that it's changed after that will cost $10. If you aren't subscribed to PlayStation Plus, and $5 if you are. You can always go back to your old ID for free, and you don't have to worry about someone using those last aliases. The caveat of the issue is, officially only games released for the first time after April the 1st have been designed to support ID changes, and there's still one unspecified title that has problems. While a large majority of popular PS4 games should work, Sony can't guarantee that a name change won't cause hiccups. There is a compatibility list that shows the potential problems that you might face, and they give a little bit more information on that. It's an arguably overdue change where Xbox owners have long had the option of changing their gamer tags, and the technical limitations could leave many people sticking with their names for a long time. But like they say, you got to start somewhere. So props to them for that. Beyonce was initially, and they've talked about this story, but because I'm late to doing the podcast and addressing it, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. And this is definite stuff, but this kind of almost goes into the music sesh a little bit. Beyonce was looking to do a deal initially with Reebok. Didn't really like what she saw at Reebok, as everyone has kind of said. But she did indeed end up going with Adidas to create new shoes and apparel, and relaunch the athleisure brand Ivy Park. And there's an article that kind of goes over what Ivy Park entails and how it looks and the design that's coming with that. Finally, under stuff, Netflix has made it clear that AirPlay will no longer be a thing. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of a backstory to this because I don't want this to be misinterpreted. AirPlay refers to if you have an Apple TV device or any Apple devices to use while watching Netflix, that AirPlay feature will not work with Netflix. Now, the turnaround or the spinoff of that is if you are using any Android devices, i.e. Fire Stick, Chromecast, Echo devices, I would assume could probably pick this up. I don't know. But any of those still will be able to work. This is the importance of what I've said before, where everyone says, oh, you went all Apple and you converted it. And I try to tell people, technically I didn't fully convert. But hey, let people believe what they want to believe. But yes, the iPhone, iPad, and the iTouch will not be supporting AirPlay no longer due to technical limitations. Netflix really didn't go into any details further than that. They just said that they will not be supporting that feature. And that's cool. Music sesh, I have been slipping a little. I gave a slight listen to Tiesto's album. If you are a old school fan of music, please, please, please listen to Marvin Gaye's album. That is all I'm going to say. I did start on Labyrinth, Sia, and Diplo. It's called LSD. Their album is pretty cool. What about because there was a lot of new music that came out this week that I did not even get a chance to get to. Avicii looks like he has a single that just dropped. BTS has a new album. I'm definitely gonna check that out. Oh, good job, Brian. Glad you pulled that up. Anderson .Paak, listen to his new album. Please listen to it. I would definitely say listen to it. Like I said, Marvin Gaye's album and Khalid's new album, Free Spirit. Free Spirit is a great album. I've listened to it a couple times. Like when I first listened to it, I kind of rushed listen. Everyone has their listening preference, and it's tough to listen to everything, especially based on how quick music can come and go. So I am recommending to check out these albums at your convenience. All that being said, looks like we are at our weird point of the night, or the day, or the moment. And today's Ass of the Week is a premature fan. He decided to, better yet, I'll do one better, because I think it'll be loud enough. So I love technology. So what you just heard was an Auburn fan who was very excited. He threw a beer over his head and was excited to say, "Let's go. Let's effing go." He didn't realize about the play being called incorrectly and that indeed Virginia did win that game against Auburn. He then later caused a scene, being belligerent and kicking chairs over due to Auburn losing. He did then which led him to being arrested. I don't know if I can make this a pass the message, but don't spill the drink. The beer you could nah, I'm not giving you that. What I will say is that it's very this could be a cool pass the message though. I'm gonna make this a fun pass the message, and we're actually gonna be done under an hour. Yay! Not adding in intros and outros, but whatever. Don't ever prematurely celebrate the moment. And when I say that, I mean it as there are always going to be shining moments. And I did not mention that during the NCAA basketball. My bad. They did show a great one shining moment video this year. Each year they do good, but this year it was spot on. I loved it. But don't let your moments to shine be too premature. Because even with you finishing or achieving something, there's always more work to do. And there's always more to get accomplished. And the more to get accomplished part is where we usually aren't thinking or aren't prepared. So my message that I'm passing is, if you have achieved something or if you have finished something, value that completion, value that finishing. I'm not going to tell you not to. But also know that there's more in store and there's more to get done. So that's what I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. I did get some inspiration from someone to say, keep doing what you're doing. I'm really pushing to get this platform heavier. I will be giving some more playoff updates next week. I think within a few weeks, we may possibly have our draft information coming. Might be some NBA 2K hype coming. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it all goes. But until next time, this is The Pass signing out. This is your host, BT. Y'all take it easy. Another episode is in the books. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. As I always share, if you'd like to get into podcasting, you can check out Spreaker.com. And if you're looking to invest in a microphone, or if you're looking to genuinely start with recording, I use the Blue Yeti microphone, but you may prefer to do the Samson Meteor. Just know that if it's your craft and it's something that you're meant to do it and do it well. That's my main thing to tell people about 2019. Do it and be reliable. Y'all take it easy.